Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mid-9M channel. Brace yourselves because we've got an absolute chiller of a tale to share with you today. If you enjoy brief trips into the eerie, don't hesitate to smash that subscribe button, like, and share this video. Now, fasten your seatbelts as we're diving headlong into a snow-stricken narrative set in the heart of England, revolving around a man named Aidan Mills. You'll follow him through a harsh night, uncovering secrets that will chill you to your core. Stay tuned and happy haunting. It was around 9:45 p.m. Loud, heavy winds blowing hard as if it could rip trees from the ground like a bored child with paper. A snowstorm had hit the small, hazy town that is located in the country of England. Probably the biggest one they had in years. Aidan Mills was walking home after the long, dreadful day at his underpaying job. He was a handsome man, probably in his mid-20s. He was tall, just for being a lad, over 6 feet. His skin almost a pinkish color of blush, as his eyes were a dark, unnatural silver, yet everyone didn't seem to take notice. His hair was a mess, dark brown and all curled up, a coat of unwashed, shiny grease covering it. Him not being able to afford much such as soap and other needed things. Aidan wasn't much of a man, more like one of those average, overly happy-looking people you'd see in those old cheesy movies or cartoons. The only problem with him is that he wasn't happy at all. He had been suffering from extreme anxiety and depression most of his life. From multiple events that had happened, his mother committing suicide after she didn't want to keep Aidan at birth, the town folks shunning her for that choice, most of the people being Christian and Catholic. His father left and abandoned Aidan for another family when he had found him doing unknown kinds of drugs and other distinct herbs. He did it as a stress reliever, yet his father wouldn't put up with it. So he left Aidan when he was only 15. Dark circles were around his dull silver eyes from the lack of sleep he gets. He seemed so unhealthy that his ribcage was easy to see from not eating on many auctions in the week. When he walks into this small town for work, it's like everyone knows everyone, being almost a small village with a few shops and restaurants. Aidan was the odd one out of 200 or more others. The way he'd act, or just the way he hardly comes out from his old run-down house. When he'd go out to work, townsfolk would always ask how he is doing or if he needed anything. Him being, well, trying to be a polite person, would reply with a simple, quick yes, I am, or just a nod, and other days he'd just reply with a twitch and crack of the neck. Like some sort of sensation came over him for a split second, not even being able to mutter words. He would just look at them and walk away. The winds grew stronger as Aidan made his way through the white freezing hell. Finally making it up to his doorstep, fiddling with a cold bundle of keys before the door gets thrown open from the hard winds. Stepping inside, Aidan slammed the door shut swiftly. The house he lived in is what you'd expect from a man like him. Dark peeling green paint on the walls, the cracks in the plank wood allowing harsh winds to break through, making the place so cold. Flickering lights would always go out and come back on. A torn mattress in a small room over to the side with clothes covering the floor, with a torn brown leather couch in what seems to be a living area. Taking off his coat, Aidan rushed to the kitchen table, grabbing a white pill bottle that had the word antidepressants written on it with what seems to be a Sharpie marker. Opening the bottle with his shivering hands, he allowed the white gridded cap to fall on the floor as he tips the pills out from the bottle onto his hand, popping 3 into his mouth and swallowing, not bothering to drink it down with water. The sound of him coughing mixed with the winter winds echoed throughout his house, giving him goosebumps. Aidan slips his light jacket off with his black and silver striped scarf, walking to his bedroom, flopping himself down onto the creaky torn mattress, and sighed. When he turned his head to the bedside desk, there was a small framed picture of his father and mother. Breaking into tears, Aidan took the picture and threw it at the wall. Glass of the frame shattering all over the wooden floor. Stuffing his face into the pillow, he began to cry himself to sleep before everything went black. He soon woke hearing intense banging on the front door of the house. It was dark outside still. Aidan not bothering looking at the time, he got up and stumbled over to the door, mumbling, yeah, I'm coming. Gripping the cold, rusty bronze handle, he creaks the door open, a heavy gust of wind and snow blowing and forcing the door wide open on its own. When Aidan looked, he saw a young girl, in her early 20s from the looks of it. She was shivering, her fingers a dark purple and her skin a pale frozen white. All she had on was snow-covered jeans and a sweater. She had to hold onto the side of the doorway to keep herself standing. All she could mutter was a weak help before collapsing onto the floor with a loud thud. With his quick thinking, Aidan picked the girl up off the cold, frozen ground and brought her inside. Taking her to his bedroom, he put her down on his bed and quickly covered her up in ripped but warm wool blankets. Aidan was able to get a closer look at the sleeping beauty. She had dark chocolate brown hair that flows down past her hips and a small, agile body, her cheeks a dark red from the cold. Soon time passes, the young girl opening her sapphire eyes that shined from the dimly lit gasoline-powered hurricane lamp that was beside her. She looks around before sitting up confused at where she might be. Not remembering much, she got up, her limbs feeling stiff and weak, like she hasn't moved in decades. Noticing a note on the bedside table written in messy handwriting, she grabs it and reads, "Meet me out in kitchen," the note says. With a small sigh that is exactly what she does, taking small steps on the cold, creaky floor, she makes her way out of the room to the kitchen. There was Aidan, rocking in his seat, fiddling with a small white bottle supposedly for pills. Aidan then notices the confused and shocked girl in front of him. "Oh, hello," he quickly says. The girl looked bug-eyed at Aidan before speaking quietly. Where am I?" she asks with a pathetic stutter, glancing at the tall lad, then behind him at the overflowing sink of dishes and messy countertop of pill bottles and other objects. "You were at my doorstep, caught in that horrid storm. I did my best to help. I surely hope you don't mind," he explains like he had practiced what to say. Out of habit, Aidan placed his hand on the back of his neck with an awkward look to him. The girl sighs as a moment of since went by, feeling like forever for the both of them. Then the girl broke it with, "My name is Jill," and Aidan staying quiet, being caught off guard. Soon she repeated herself from Aidan just being quiet as he shook his head and then replied, "Oh, name's Aidan," he said, putting a hand out to her. "It's a pleasure to meet you," he says as she shook his hand lightly. "Likewise," she replied with a small smile. Out of both their surprise, they begun to talk, Aidan making some tea for the both of them. It has been a while since he had ever socialized with someone like this before, and it made him feel good. He felt just calm, like all his worries had just vanished. Then a week passes, and just like that, their relationship has set off. Surprisingly, Jill seemed happy with Aidan, and same goes to him. Aidan's depression and anxiety had almost went away, Jill being there when he needs someone most, which helps him a lot. Couple months pass and they were still together. The month being August, now they would sit outside and just relax with each other, and everyone noticed how Aidan seemed more lively now. Jill had helped Aidan get a better job, so now he is getting enough for them both. Soon a year passes and Jill is finally moved in with Aidan, and they are planning on buying a new house, then the old rundown cabin they are in. Everything was still going good for Aidan, like some dream came true after all. If he was honest, it seemed too good to be true. He was even planning on asking Jill if she'd be his wife, using almost all of his money up on a gold diamond ring. Once again, everything just seemed so perfect. But things soon started to go downhill. Jill would hardly ever hug or kiss Aidan anymore, and always call him a weak baby or something of that sort when he'd cry from some panic attack. When she wasn't around, he went back to doing drugs and other stuff. He then got fired from his job for not having proper work informant health, and his disorders were coming back, seeming worse than the last time. He doesn't understand why he puts up with it. It just comes naturally to him, he assumes. Everything was happy. He just wanted it to stay like that. But everyone needs to wake up from a dream at some point. He was still determined to ask Jill to be his wonderful wife, putting all this bad stuff that has been happening aside. He repeats the same things in his mind, these positive lies, as he waited and waited for Jill to return home from wherever she had gone to. Looking at the time, he noticed that I was laid out. Where was she? Shouldn't she have been home by now? He tries not to think about it, and with a small sad sigh, he went to bed, expecting to wake up in the morning to see Jill in bed beside him, but that wasn't the case. Aidan got woke up by what sounds like Jill and some other male person laughing in the living room. He slowly got up and went out to see what was happening, and stopped dead in his tracks to Jill, the love of his life, kissing one of the wealthier men in town. Jill, not realizing Aidan was home from being fired from work, gasped and got up quickly. "Aidan, I didn't think you'd be home," Jill squeals out. Aidan was just shocked at all of this. Jill was wearing a fancy blue dress to match her eyes, with gems and jewels dawning on her. This wealthier man obviously treating and spoiling Jill. "Get out of my house," Aidan mumbles, holding the tears back that were swelling up in his eyes. Jill walked over and gently gave him a kiss off pity, just to be slapped across the face by Aidan and him throwing the wedding ring he was going to give Jill into her face. She held her cheek before she walked to her new lover. The man then kissed Jill, and they walked out of the house, closing the door behind. Aidan couldn't handle it anymore. His chest hurts as a sinking feeling just surrounds him as thoughts and feelings of depression and anxiety flood his mind. He cries, feeling completely heartbroken of what just happened, and that's what sent him over the edge. He went out back, his breathing heavily shaky, his hands feeling shaky and cold as he grabbed a long bundle of rope. Going back inside, he went to his room, not even making a sound anymore, not one peep. He took a chair and stood on it as he tried the rope up and around his neck. Everything just felt slow, like the whole world just stopped for a minute. Aidan heard his own neck back and break when he stepped off the chair. This breathless feeling swelling over him as this burning feeling of sadness and rage came over his dying body there and then. About 2 months pass, everyone wanting to forget about what happened the 2 months prior. The whole town seemed different now after that had happened, yet no one understood what happened with Jill. The authorities had went into her house after no one seeing her for quite some time, and what they found was shocking. Covering the walls was the words "You lied to me," painted messily in dark, dry crimson blood, with Jill's pocky propped up. Her eyes completely torn out, her neck sliced open, and a clean slit going down from her chest to her pelvis with organs cleanly ripped out and all over the floor. It was absolutely sickening. To this day, everyone still wants to forget about those incidents, just classifying it as some kind of legend or horror story. But those people still know the truth, and that truth will always haunt them for the rest of their lives.